What's up everyone, my name is Zach and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my November nonfiction TBR. So every year, I did not know this until I started doing booktube, but every year there's like this trend that goes around for nonfiction November where people like really focus on reading nonfiction books in November. I used to say that nonfiction I was not interested in reading ever. And then actually someone was commenting on my videos recently and had went back and watched a lot of my old videos. Thank you so much for doing that. It was adorable. And I realized that one that was commented on was from 2022 when I was talking about a nonfiction book haul. And I was like, I didn't even realize that I bought nonfiction books in 2022. I thought that last year was the first time that I ever attempted nonfiction November. And I'm going to get into all that in just a second because I want to talk about my own growth and how I ended up here. I also want to share some stuff about me and the things that I'm interested in. And I'm looking forward to doing that with you all. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, helps me out a ton. A like on the video goes a long way. And please let me know what your nonfiction TBR is if you plan to participate. Even if you don't read nonfiction, thanks for clicking on this video. I would be interested to know, like, what are some of the things that you guys are interested in? Like, I think that I've learned that nonfiction is a good way, obviously, to continue learning and learn more, but also to like express our interests. So I'm really looking forward to telling you all about some of the things that I'm interested in, which brings me to last year. Dun, dun, dun. It was horrible. Okay. So last nonfiction November, I was like, I'm going to do it for the first time. I'm going to do nonfiction November. I was so excited about a bunch of books. I was like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to go back to school. I've been graduated from school for a while now. And I was finally ready to like get back into learning and reading nonfiction mode. However, I did not think really, I thought about the things that I like to watch in documentaries, and I thought that that would translate to reading. It did not. I picked things like biographies about Cleopatra and books about like really like Napoleon and things like that. And like, whereas I am interested in those things, I realize that the documentaries that I watch don't always translate to fiction or nonfiction to reading. And I did not enjoy that at all. And it kind of turned me off of nonfiction for a minute. I've read a few nonfiction this year. I mean, I'm sure if you go back and watch my wrap-ups, and I will talk about it at the end of the year too. I'll do like a nonfiction wrap up since this is really the first year that I've read them. But like one of them I read is While Idaho Slept, which is a true crime novel. So yeah, let's get into this year's nonfiction November, but I wanted to like kind of talk about my history with it because I'm really excited for this year. And I feel like I finally found like my groove. I just finished reading a book about a nonfiction book, which I'll talk about in my October wrap up. And it actually spawned a new video series that I'm in the process of filming right now. But I read a book called Supremacy. I'll put it here on the screen for you guys. Maybe I'll do a recommendation video at some point about nonfiction, but this was about ChatGPT, the creation of AI, and how we got here and where we're going. And it was really good. And so I'm feeling like I'm finding my niche and the things that I'm interested in. So let's talk about some of the possibilities of books that I might read in November for nonfiction November. I have a stack of physical books that were already on my shelves. I actually had a few more downstairs, but one of them was like Empire of Pain, which is about the opioid epidemic. And I live in Southwest Virginia. I live in one of the places that were purposely targeted by pharmaceuticals. We've actually gotten one of the largest payouts in the country for being targeted and the lawsuit. And whereas I've been very interested in that, I just don't feel like I'm in a place right now to read about that. It's a very sensitive and it's a subject that's actually impacted me greatly and my family. And so I don't want to read that right now. So I picked the ones that I have that I'm still interested in. And then I have a few on Kindle and one that I don't own yet that I'm interested in. But this intro has been long enough. You know what? I say that, but like I really am trying to talk more in my videos. I want you all to like get a sense of who I am, because I was thinking about why I do booktube, why I watch booktube, and the booktubers that I like the most. And I'm like, yeah, there are things about myself that I could just slow down for a minute and stop just like spouting out reviews, which is fine too. I enjoy doing that too. But maybe just take a moment to talk a little bit more and not be in such a hurry. So that's what I'm trying to do now in my videos. Okay, so let's start with the ones that I have physically. So I have Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup. After reading the ChatGPT book that I just read, I've owned this for a while, but it re-sparked my interest in this because this is about Elizabeth Holmes, and she supposedly created this laboratory test that could tell you, like, I think it could tell you, like, all of the things that could possibly be wrong with you, like medical wise, but it led to like misdiagnosis, unnecessary treatments, etc. And then I think people eventually found out that it was all a scam. And I'm very interested in that. So yeah, I do believe that I'll probably read this nonfiction November. And then one of my friends picked up a book when she was driving through a rural part of West Virginia, and actually, I don't know if it was a rural part. I just know that she was driving through West Virginia when she found this book. But she found this book at a shop, and it's called Islands of Abandonment, Nature Rebounding in the Post-Human Landscape. This is about places like Chernobyl, a place in Scotland. It's like places that have been abandoned and how nature rebuilds itself in the most beautiful way. It's also a book sort of about climate change, but my friend who read it said that it doesn't like beat you over the head with like climate change facts and stuff like that. It just talks about how like Earth will rebound itself, but also like how we're kind of killing the Earth. I also am like very interested in abandoned places. I just think that this book is going to create some really cool imagery, and it's a topic that I'm really interested in learning more about. Yeah, so I'm very excited for this. And another book that I've had for a really long time, I actually think I got this like on sale at Barnes & Noble. And it looks like there are photographs in here. Oh my gosh, there actually are. I wonder why. That's so interesting. Okay, so this is called Guilty Admissions, The Bribes, Favors, and Phonies Behind the College Cheating Scandal. So in the US, a few years ago, it's probably been much longer than a few years ago, but there was this whole like scandal of how like particularly really rich people were getting into really like Yale and Harvard and things like that. And I'm just very fascinated in how that happened. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. I'm very interested in saying this. It's in the chronicle of the corruption of the American elite, in the betrayal of the country that elite is meant to lead. The college bribery scandal represents an especially appalling and revealing chapter. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. Okay, another book that I have early access to, but I think by the time I read it, it'll probably be released. But it's called Framed, and John Grisham wrote it with someone else. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me or up on my phone right now. But this is about people who are wrongly convicted of crimes, which I'm very interested in. I think it's going to be a tough and probably really somber and sad read because the American criminal justice system is all sorts of messed up. Like in so many ways. So I'm very interested in reading about this, but it's probably going to feel very disheartening and very sad. Yeah, so, and also, like, who better to write with that than John Grisham? John Grisham writes a lot of, like, legal thrillers and things like that, so I'll be very interested in his investigation into this, or whoever he wrote the book with. There's also a book called Want that just came out that, like, tons of people are talking about and reading right now. The, like, tagline of Want is, like, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it basically says like nobody asks women what they want and what they want sexually and what their like sexual fantasies are and what they think about sex. That's it. Nobody ever asks women what they think about sex. And so this book is like a whole bunch of women talking about their views on sex and what they want. And I think it's a lot of like fantasies and things like that. But I'm particularly interested in it because we don't ever ask women about what they want from sex. And I'm really excited to read that. So I'm really glad that it was written. Well, at this point, I think I'm glad that it was written. Haven't actually read the book yet, but I can imagine that I'm going to really enjoy it. Another book is The Scientist and the Serial Killer. This is a book that actually doesn't come out until next year, but I have early access to. And Scientist and the Serial Killer. I'm typing it in on Goodreads so I can read you guys what it's about. But I checked the disclosure agreement for getting it early, and I can talk about it whenever. So I might get to this one. But again, yeah, it comes out next year. But this is about 8 years later. Okay. Between 1971 and 1973, more than 27 teenage boys disappeared from idyllic tree-lined neighborhoods in Houston. This is the true story of how one dedicated forensic scientist finally identified the victims of the Candyman, one of America's most prolific serial killers. And then it just kind of like outlines more about the actual killings, which we don't need to do right now. But yeah, so I'm very interested in that. I also know that if I don't get around to it right now, and Penguin Random House, please, keeps me in their audio influencing program, I'll get access to the audio, and I wonder what the audio would be like. It sounds like it'd be pretty cool, probably. I don't know why, but I really want to listen to the audio of that book. But also, it sounds so appealing that I don't think I can wait. If you have any other recommendations that are similar to that, also, I should have said this at the top of the video, but if you have any recommendations for nonfiction about any of the things that I've expressed interest in, I would love to hear recommendations. The last one that's on my list that I hope to get to is coming out in January. This book is called The Secret History of the Rape Kit. So it is about, the title of that, and to not trigger anyone or, talk too frankly about that on YouTube, you can get from the title what it's about. So I am looking forward to reading it. I think it's going to be very informative and very important. So I'm really glad that this book was written. Just like with Want, I'm glad that we're getting more feminist and nonfiction books that are going to inform people on things that they don't often think about. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So things that I am interested in are like nature, big tech. I'm very interested in big tech. Oh, the one that I don't own yet that I might go buy tomorrow. Casey, my wife, doesn't actually want me to purchase this book, but I think I'm going to have to because the waits are too long, my library and everything. But because I just read the ChatGPT book, and because I think Elon Musk is a horrible person, I'm very interested in reading his biography because I think that Elon Musk is more powerful than the US government. And I feel like I should probably know about him because not that I can do anything about him. He's an absolutely horrible human being. And one thing I'm worried about if I were to read his biography is I would like to know, I guess tonight, I will do some more research on how it was written, because if it's just going to be him gloating, I'm sure he had a ghostwriter, but I need to do more research on this book because I don't know if it's like him having a ghostwriter about his life or someone unbiased writing about him. I don't know. I need to do more research, but not to go all political on you guys, but Elon Musk is on track to be the world's first trillionaire. And I just personally think that that should not be allowed. It should be illegal. And yeah, I really despise him. And so that kind of sparks my curiosity, and I want to know more about like how did he get here? He has like 3 of the biggest companies in the world: Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink. I bet a lot of people don't even know what Neuralink is. I just recently really learned about it. It's wild. It's so crazy. But this is where the future of things are going. Like, that's why I really enjoyed the AI book that I read recently. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. So I'm interested in technology, like big tech, like true crime, things that are like kind of shocking, like which I think big tech and pharmaceutical companies are quite shocking in the most devastating way. Nature, other like mysteries, rich people behaving badly, which would be like these two. Yeah, scientific research, I guess, like The Secret History of the Rape Kit, and yeah. Oh, another book that I have owned forever that I want to read. That's another really good feminist nonfiction is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. It's actually, the audio is actually read by her, and I have the audio. I've been putting off reading that book for years. I've been talking about it on my channel forever. In 2022, it was on the cover of the thumbnail that I said I was going to read it for. And I haven't gotten around to it yet because I know that it's going to be absolutely heartbreaking and devastating. That story is just so sad. But I'm ready to challenge myself. And I think that that's something that nonfiction can do for us, is challenge us and help us think more critically and also just learn. Like, I just want to know about the things around me. And now that I'm done with school, I have more time to pick and choose the things that I want to learn about. You'll probably notice I don't have any books on mental health. I'm a therapist. So Whereas I do my own continuing education, I do those things at work, right? Like I read at work, my continuing ed, I have a whole bookshelf at work with mental health things on it. But in my free time, I want to read about something else. And I have the freedom to do that now. And also, like, as a therapist, knowing more about the world and things like that will only, I believe, make me a better and more compassionate therapist. So yeah, I'm like looking around at my books to make sure I'm not missing anything. But I think those are the big ones that I have planned for this year. But yeah, let me know what you want to read for Nonfiction November, or if you like nonfiction at all. I'm guessing because you clicked on this video, maybe you're interested a little bit. Yeah, I would also love any recommendations, etc., etc. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.